Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Texas Wedding Podcast. This week, we have one of my good friends, Rebecca Martens of Belle Events, and we go back for years. I mean, years ago, I got connected to a Belle event, met Rebecca there at my very first one. The event was a big opportunity for me, one of the largest weddings I'd done at that point. And honestly, the event, but then the relationship with Rebecca and the rest of the Belle team drastically changed the next couple of years for me in the industry. So I'm so excited to have Rebecca on because not only am I drastically changed by my friendship with Rebecca, but so blessed by the business she has built and created and how it's affected me and all the opportunities we've had to work together. From events here in Texas to honestly traveling all over the country with Rebecca and the team. It has been an incredible couple of years. This is the second guest in our series leading up to WIPACon, where we are having people on the podcast who are speaking at, designing, or part of making the event happen. Last week, we had Jordan Fothery with the Rosewood Mansion up in Dallas on. This week, we are lucky enough to have Rebecca, and next week is a secret. You're not allowed to know that yet. But stay tuned, you're gonna be excited. But this week, we are lucky enough to have Rebecca. She will be one of the panelists at WIPACon talking about when to know it's the right time to grow your business. And this podcast is so good, y'all. I was so in the moment in this podcast with Rebecca, forgot that we were doing a podcast. And honestly, I completely forgot to ask her to introduce herself, introduce what Belle Events is, anything like that. It was just, I just got lost in it. So I had her send over a bio. We're gonna read that. Here we go. Rebecca is the owner of Belle Events, a Houston-based wedding and event planning company, and brings more than 20 years of industry experience. A Texas State University graduate, she launched her career with Disney Fairy Tale Weddings in Orlando, executing weddings and events across all 4 Disney theme parks. She returned to Houston as event manager at River Oaks Country Club, planning galas, charitable luncheons, and luxurious weddings for some of the city's most prominent families. Rebecca joined Belle Events as a planner in 2015 and, in just 4 years, purchased the company and took the reins. Today, she leads a team of 13 planners and 20 event day assistants, guided by the belief that sincere relationships with every couple, family, and vendor bring a client's vision to life beautifully. When she's not planning events, you'll find her traveling with her husband, Joe, spending time with family and her, Rebecca, I don't even know what this word is, spending time with her family and her Jackahuahuas. What is that? Spending time with her family and her dog and attempting to play tennis. Y'all, this one is good. Let's dive into the podcast with Rebecca Martens here on the Texas Wedding Podcast.
I say if you don't like this music, you don't be listening to it. You know, I'm just a dude that you know, or something similar. If you don't keep it real, then you go somewhere but here, cause you know we're only losing control just for a minute.
Rebecca, thanks for doing this.
You're so welcome. Happy to be here. Thank you for asking me. I've seen all my friends on here. I'm like, I want to be on the podcast. So,
is it living up to the hype?
Of course. Yes. I mean, it's a nice rainy day here and it's cozy in my office and it's quiet. And so what a better way to spend my Monday.
Bliss. Absolute bliss. What's the season like right now? We're recording this. It's July 13th. What does the season look like for you? Are y'all busy? Lots of events going on? Is it busy with bookings and planning, or like what does the season look like for y'all as a team right now?
Well, yeah, summer in Houston, most of our clients do a lot of traveling. And so we don't have a lot of events. I think this summer we have, it's like 6 or 7 events throughout June to August, which for 13 planners, that's a lower volume number, considering,
definitely.
You know, you take the remaining 9 months and divide 150 events amongst those, or 120, depending on the year. You know, so the summer is time to relax because you're never going to have balance on a day-to-day basis with your personal life and your work life when we're in season. You find yourself giving a lot more to work than you can, unfortunately, your family and your hobbies and yourself. And so we had a joke in the office in May. I don't know, Annie is one of the Belles, and Annie kept trying to boost the morale by saying, summer is coming, summer is coming. And so now summer is here, and it's so exciting to see the ladies at the beach with their families and posting all of these moments where they're getting to pour in to their children and their spouses and take some time off. But not to say they're not here. This office is On a daily basis, there's 6 to 8 planners here, even during the summer, putting in some hours just to make sure that nothing falls behind. That's our job as a planner, is to stay on track. But the give and take to that is our clients are traveling anyway. So a lot of them are like, can we just pick up in August? But
like the internet's not good in south of France. Can we just circle back like early September?
Well, yeah. And I think it's hard for us too, because a lot of times August is going to be hard for us picking up going August, September, going into October, November, because that's when we have to do a lot of the planning. Wedding planning gets really stressful again 2 months beforehand because you're tracking down RSVPs. You're trying to finish last minute changes to decor. Anything that's not buttoned up, you need to be working on and getting done. It's crucial time with our vendors because we know a lot of vendors are not going to be checking their staffing or preparing and doing fabrication until like 2 months before the wedding. And so then they come back with a lot of questions. And so vendors always come back to the school year and are like, let's get lunch, let's go out, let's network. And you're like, I have already hit the season. But then
your timing is horrible.
Right. And then December comes. And we don't do a ton of weddings in December. We have a handful. Like, I think this year we have maybe 5 or 6.
Okay.
So it slows down again for us. And so, but our vendors are slammed with holiday parties. So we're like, hey, you want to go to lunch? And they're like, you're crazy.
No.
So it's that planner vendor relationships is sometimes doesn't align, but we've gotten a chance this summer to see and network and look at new inventory at several vendors' places and get updated packages. Right now is housekeeping and projects. Like, I am completely focused on efficiencies and just making sure that when we go into fall, it's a smooth transition.
Yeah. SOPs, the queen of SOPs.
I love an SOP. You can't exceed expectations if you don't have a bar.
I love it. Did you say 150 events a year?
Yeah.
That's wild.
I mean, that's on the high end. That's like operating at 100%. That's without anyone being out or having Belle babies born. So we average anywhere between 1 to 150, just dependent on the year. You're talking post-COVID when we had a bubble and a surge. Oh yeah, we were at 150, maybe a little bit over. But right now, we're somewhere between 100 and 150, depending on the situations with the team and the demand.
My goodness, that is chaotic, which I think leads to what you were saying of like the processes, the SOPs, the idea of having that kind of scale. It just blows my mind, especially doing the idea of running a team of videographers that does 150 weddings a year. Sounds chaotic. It sounds tenfold chaotic having a team of planners doing 150 events a year, because the logistics y'all are handling and juggling and number of client meetings is exponentially more than videographers. Would you agree with that?
I think it's a little bit different because you would be managing creatives. So you're managing people that are by, just naturally going to be more on the creative side of how they approach things. And that's not a knock. That's not like you can't manage your life situation. That's like you approach things from a very creative mindset.
Yeah.
And in order to sometimes be in that creative headspace, because I think I'm a good mixture of both. In order to be in that creative headspace, you kind of have to you can't get bogged down, right? You can't get bogged down by the details and the timelines in order to lean into your creative side. And for us, our natural abilities are those timelines, checklist, structure. And when we have that, we are able to thrive. And so I think it would be very different if I were managing a team of photographers or videographers or makeup artists or bands. That's how we sell ourselves. We are the ringmaster of the circus. Everyone else we work with has a show to put on and has a creative outlet and is performing, whether it's their fillet or their song or their video or their photographs or their makeup. Every single person is a part of that show. And our talent is to make sure it is all working together for the client. And everyone is bringing their puzzle piece to the show. And that, it's the greatest showman. That's what we are. So We bring it all together for you and hopefully do it in a fun, kind way, and keep in mind that, yes, this is the only day we get for a couple, but that our jobs are meant to be celebratory. They're meant to bring joy. They can't be so intense that that energy is given to our clients and to each other,
Yeah.
So
Which
different. You managing videographers, totally different than my alpha females. So,
I've never thought of that. Do you think like the personality types that are attracted to being a wedding planner just kind of fit more naturally in the structure of the business that you have? Is that a good translation for what you're saying?
yeah, I think different wedding planners have different strengths. I think some people get into wedding planning because they love interior design and they
Yeah.
love the aesthetic of an event. And some people get into event planning because they are organized and bossy and love to serve others and love people and want to love on people and help them work through stress. And so some people have both of those attributes. They are creative as much as they are organized. Well, I think there's a spectrum, right? And I think that's why the world's wide enough for all the wedding planners that exist, is because you're going to find the right client for you. And I'm
Yeah.
lucky enough to have a team of 13 of them. And so I am able to meet clients where they are with hopefully the right planner that matches them. So wedding planners, I think you do have to be organized. And even if you are more of a creative interior design planner, there's an element of your job that you have to play up that, you have to always, sometimes you're out of your comfort zone and sometimes there's a part of your job that's not your favorite part. Like, I don't like paying the bills. I don't like numbers, like I'm an entrepreneur and running a business and I don't love numbers.
Yeah.
And so when you are an interior design based planner and creative, you still have to do that timeline side. And when you're a very logistically minded, structured planner, you still have to do that creative side, but you're going to be on that spectrum somewhere.
I mean, you mentioned you don't like numbers. Did both of those sides come naturally to you? You said you're pretty evenly split when you were talking earlier. Did they come naturally to you, or was there one of those sides, like as you were getting started in planning and doing events, that you really had to like flex and train and study and grow?
That's a great question. I was in a family. My mother is a collector of people. She has
Yeah.
many friends. My father has many friends. And after Friday football games, everyone came to my house. And my mom made grilled cheeses and mozzarella sticks. And everyone came to our house. And slumber parties, I never had 2 people stay the night. I always had 13 people staying the night. And my mom would get out the camcorder and we would make videos to Britney Spears and NSYNC dances.
Oh my gosh.
So I was always in an environment of festivity. We celebrated everything. Every holiday, my mom found a reason to celebrate everything with streamers and balloons. And so that kind of was just in my blood, but I was also a very bossy kid. I would be, I think, are you a natural born leader? I would say that I was born with that skill set. When my friends would come over, even when we were little, I would distribute the Barbies and distribute the Barbie cars. And I was bossy. They called me Bossy Becky growing up. It was just, that was who I was. And I'm really, really, really grateful I found a job that I can channel that energy and that it is something that works for me and not against me. And I have learned to tailor that bossiness into a very relational, not so much of coming across as a bully or anything, just more of a structured person so we can get things done. But I do love being creative. I thought that I could be a professional forger when I grew up. I used to practice my parents' signatures and practice my friends' parents' signatures because I always got permission. If they forgot a permission slip, we would call from the attendance office and then I would sign it for them. But I could write Nancy Bombax and Dolores Casey and my mom and dad. And so I thought that was a legit job people could have. When I found out it was illegal, I was like, wait, I'm doing something illegal because I'm also not a rule breaker. Yeah. So I do have a creative side. I want to continue to learn calligraphy, and I'm really savvy and quick on my feet to be able to put things together real quickly. I can do anything with duct tape and a safety pin to on a wedding day to fix things. So I don't know. I have both, but I'm not an academic person. I'm not like a book smart. We don't play Jeopardy with me. Like, oh, you'll win if you want to play Jeopardy with me. But I have a lot of like quick common sense, and I love people too. So
yeah. And I am shocked to hear that you were once such a felon forging signatures. I feel like I am naturally a rule breaker, so I did forge my parents' signatures a couple times.
You're not.
That can't be that shocking to you.
Not.
That can't be that shocking.
You are like, I feel like you're a goody two shoes. What do you mean you're a rule breaker? That feels false.
Okay, well, I did not call my parents for permission in middle school when I would sign their names, but learning your friends' parents' signatures is next level, Rebecca.
It was fun. It was fun. I could sign their signatures too, to be fair.
Your friends?
But, yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
I've never talked to someone who was a young forger. Every time we talk, I say this every time, I learn a new fascinating thing about you and your life.
Yeah, I'm open to anything. You got to try things and have fun. We only get to do this once, you know?
Amen.
So, can't believe you're a rule breaker. I would have never guessed that.
I've softened since I've gotten older. I'm not as fun as I used to be, but growing up, 100%.
I would say that you're still fun, by the way.
Thanks, Rebecca. Okay. You mentioned wanting to come on the podcast for a while. I've wanted to have you on the podcast for a long time because we get to work together a lot. I think it was 4 years ago that I first worked with Victoria and Kelly for my first Belle event at the Houstonian down in Houston. And it was such a big deal. It was like so fun. And it's just opened up a whole different world in Houston and working with you and working with the Belles. And it's what you like. I love these conversations because I know you so well and we've worked together so much that when you say something, it has so much weight because I've seen you do it for years. When you're talking about not being bossy, but like you're the ringmaster and empowering everyone and they all have their acts and you're like making those things happen. I feel that every event I work with you and I work with Belle, whether it's you, I'm not going to name them so I don't forget any of the 13, but like you or any of the Belles that I always have the pleasure to work with. I feel that every time. And it leads to questions of like, how do you do it with such a big team to have the consistency across all of your members in those like soft skills? Like it feels easy to coordinate everyone's email signatures look the same. It's so much more difficult to be like, oh, I want every vendor of the 30 vendors on this wedding day to feel supported. And all of y'all do it so well. Can you talk me through this isn't a specific question. I just want to glean some wisdom for you. How do you have such consistency across all of your planners under Belle Events in especially those soft skills?
I think, okay, let's go back. My background, the day I graduated college, I left 3 weeks later for Disney World in Orlando to work at Disney Weddings. And when you're going to work for Disney, and most people are familiar with this, they put a lot into education and training for their cast members. They call us, instead of employees, they call you a cast member because you are in the show. You're a cast member, like on stage. And they call it on stage and backstage. And so when you're going to work for Disney, you don't just go to work for a company, you join a family, right? Like you're going in there and they have a class called Traditions and they teach you the tradition of Disney, why Walt started it, why it exists, why he was so passionate about having a place that families could spend time together and be in a safe, healthy environment. With one-stop shop, you could stay there, you didn't have to go find food, it was already there. And they teach you about the brand and the significance of the brand and the importance of you when you wear that name tag that you're representing this history. And so you have to buy in. You have to really believe that when that one family has an interaction with you in the theme park, that interaction could be the interaction that makes or breaks their vacation. And it's maybe a single mom that's been saving for this trip for 10 years. And if she has an experience with you that is negative, you have ruined that trip for the entire family and the brand of Disney. And so with Belle is an entity. It's not just a company. She exists and all of us embody her. And so we sit down at the beginning in September and I have big whiteboards with markers that we write out. Who is she? Like, what is Belle? Is she Southern? Is she polished? Is she organized? Is she kind? Like, what attributes is Belle? And then we go through and say, who is Belle's target client? What do we want our client to be like? What was her upbringing? Where did she go to school? Where does she shop? What does she like to eat? What are her hobbies? We're manifesting essentially our client. And then, of course, we do our goals of the community, the networking, the marketing. And so it's very strategic. But we're agreeing on it as a team. Last year we came up with the 3 words that we wanted to emulate. And I told my husband, I said, I don't know if that's what I wanted the company to be as the owner. But I also am not in the trenches with them every single day. And as our brides are evolving, and the generations are changing, they may need to be a certain person in order to be a stronger planner. And I need to support that. And so when I'm thinking about how we interact with vendors or how I'm selling to a client, I want to make sure I'm hitting on those words because that's what we agreed. Everyone agreed to it, that these were the words that we were going to emulate. And we do want to be partners and we do want to be kind. We want to be gracious, but because again, this job is celebratory. Like if you're miserable at your job, get a new job. Get a new job. Life's too short. And so there are times when we're stressed, but I tell them, I'm like, we cry in closets. Go cry in a car, cry in your closet. Call me if you need to vent or scream. But go back to the show, go back on stage and put on the Belle costume, the Belle face, the Belle vibes, and be a good partner and get the job done. But
I never would have thought how well the Disney, not just Disney weddings. Yes, of course, Disney weddings applies to weddings, but the whole Disney brand, all of the Disney training that they do. You said, now you're on stage. Yeah. Now you're off stage. You can cry.
I took a 3-hour class on how to talk on the phone. 3 hours on how to talk on the phone. It was called Put a Smile in Your Voice. And so it's legit. There's a Disney University. I went to Disney University and took managerial classes and leadership classes.
Wow.
And so, but I have to go back to your question and say more to the fact that this is their character. This is who they are. I am not manufacturing them. They're not putting on a show. I recently hired a new Belle that came from the operation. She was one of our vendor partners at a venue. And in her first one-on-one with me, she said, I have to say, I didn't know when your team comes on site and they act the way they do, is it a wedding day facade? Is it just putting on a show and then going back to your office and being like, oh, and she was like, it's so amazing to come in here and see that you guys are exactly what you are out there in here.
Wow.
And to compliment that for them, but I also want to nurture that because I don't want a mean team. I don't want mean girls. I don't want to be elitist. I can teach you anything. I've been doing this 23 years, but I cannot teach you to be kind. I can't teach kindness.
Wow.
And so I have to say, as much credit as I want to take for us doing these exercises and always trying to emulate Belle, they are genuinely really kind, loving, amazing, professional, organized. I mean, they can run circles around me. I'm nothing without them. Belle doesn't exist without them. They are an incredible team.
Wow. What incredibly high praise from the new Belle who came in. And,
I know, right?
I mean, saying that it's I've now seen the outside of Belle. I've seen the medium, but I'm in it now. And it's all the way through.
It is. It's not fake. I can't do fake. It's always on my face. I can't hide it. And I don't hide it. I don't think it's fair to hide it. Again, life's too short. And I think it's just really important to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I feel like I'm going to keep coming back to this. I've seen all phases of working with Rebecca Martens and the like
Even the really stressed out, like Rebecca Martens.
stressed, are we making it? But always kind, always focused on doing the job, doing it well, doing it with kindness.
Thank you.
You know this already. I said this, but a lot of people have been very excited to have you on the podcast. And a lot of people sent in questions. I want to look at one of the questions because it's right in line with what we're talking about right now. One thing that doesn't always come off as kindness is when constructive criticism has to happen. But I know that's so important for a team of your size, any team, but a team of your size. I know it's something that you are personally very passionate about. Can you talk me through what that looks like for you and looks like for your team and why it's so important?
Again, I go back to my Disney education. I had a leader that always said feedback is a gift. Feedback is, if it's delivered from a place of kindness and love and respect, it's a gift for us to evolve. And so my team, they know, for one, they're not allowed to give constructive feedback to a vendor. That is my job. As the owner of the company, if there's a situation that involves needing to give constructive feedback to a vendor or to talk through a scenario or a situation, that needs to come from me. And the main reason for that, I don't want them to have damaged relationships, but I also have been doing this long enough that I know how I like to receive feedback. And I've been on so many different teams with so many different leaders that I feel like I've experienced several different types of deliveries. And so I like to think that I have found a way to do that is kind. And I never want to put them in a situation because we care too much. So if we have a bride and a vendor drops the ball and it's your bride that you've been planning with for a year and you care so much about it and a vendor does something negligent, your reaction is not going to be the same as my reaction.
Yeah.
Because I'm one step away from the situation. So they will call me every single night at the end of a wedding night. They are to send me a text or a voicemail to tell me how the night went, just so that I don't wake up to anything surprising. I have woken up to a photo of an ambulance in front of a country club with no context. And I'm like, hey guys, what happened? And it wasn't anything that was, it was a guest situation that was totally fine. So we have a feedback loop that we close on wedding nights so that if I know I need to speak with a vendor come Monday, or if a vendor calls me upset with the bell, I have some context.
Yeah.
But then I call them too on Monday to really decipher, is a situation in which feedback really needs to be given? Or is this a one-off situation that is very rare? Most of us care so much about our clients and our events and our relationships with our vendors that we've already beaten ourselves up. I have a couple of members on my team that I don't even have a chance to say anything. They come in and they're like so mad at themselves because they do care so deeply and they do have that perfectionism in them that I don't have to say anything. And I, in fact, have to tell them, I'm not mad at you. You have to make mistakes. The only way you get better and you grow is if you make the mistakes. I want you to cost me money. Like, I want this to be a situation in which you learn, because that's the baptism by fire, right? That's the only way you learn. And so when it comes to giving vendors feedback, it always comes from a place of, if I wasn't giving you feedback, then it's because I don't care. And I care deeply. And I think so much of us are so siloed in what we do. We don't know what our competitors are doing. We don't know how to make our experience better because we're not even familiar with how other people are operating out there unless we're a part of some organizations where that gets shared. And so sometimes I'll give a vendor feedback of like, hey, this is what our clients kind of expect. And they're really grateful. They're like, I wouldn't have known that if you didn't tell me that. And so there's an element to that's educational for me to let people know, hey, one of my clients received this and they really love this experience. Is that something that you could do? But most of the time, the feedback comes from a miscommunication. It doesn't come from negligence, especially with the vendors that we hire. And if it does come from negligence, I may get in touch with you and we might have a one more shot or a proceed with caution to the rest of the Belle team. But I do believe in second chances, and I do believe in people just not knowing what they don't know. And that's a process in which we have to be patient. But vendors also have to understand the gravity of our recommendations and how that reflects on us and my brand and my team. I need to know that people take it seriously. And it often leads to great conversation and feedback for my team. My team loves feedback. When I sit down with them, it's never like, what did I do wrong? It's like, what can I, have my clients said anything? Have any vendors said anything? What can I be doing better? No one wants to be stagnant. All of us want to improve. And so I just think being kind with it and knowing that it comes from a place of love and growth and not a place of criticism and judgment.
It's huge. It was after you spoke at WIPA in Houston, which was fantastic, but you used that phrase, feedback is a gift. You used that phrase and it really stuck with me in Houston when I heard you speak. And it's something I try to be really intentional about now, even just with second shooters I have or associate shooters I have. I've dragged my feet in the past to give constructive feedback to them because they're not employees of mine. They're not members of my team. It's more work for me to like see these things and pull these clips and explain it. And if it's going to maybe like mess up relationship anyway, like it was, I mean, all the excuses that I'm sure you think and hear 1,000 times. And I didn't have appreciation for it until I heard you really like share about it. So now it's like I am intentional as I'm going through to like pull those things and educate and coach and help people I'm working with for it.
People want that. I mean, you would want that.
I would want that. 100%.
Yeah, I think all of us do. And you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you took that away. My Disney leader would be so happy that she was able to change someone's
Send me her email and I'll send a positive review. I'm like, Rebecca's doing a great job. You did a great job teaching. 5 stars.
I didn't love that leader. But I took something away from her, you know? There's always a learning opportunity. My parents are both educators, so I do believe that. And so that is the good that I took away. But that's also, for me, leadership, having leaders that I didn't necessarily respect, which I'll call managers because they weren't leaders, helped me too to understand how I wanted to be as a leader here for my team. Yeah. And when I need to be stern and when I need to support and cheer, and learning each different alpha female's feedback preference.
Yeah.
I asked them, I'm like, do you want the sandwich? Do you want the good, the bad, the good?
I am such a sandwich person. Anyone could say anything to me. And if it's sandwiched, I'm good. We're good. I hear it very well in a sandwich. What were the other ones you said?
No, it's the sandwich. And then you have people that just want it to be direct. They don't want it sugar-coated. They don't want fluff. They just want to know what it is. There's the feedback as well as like high level and detailed. So there are people that just want the Cliff's Notes. And then there are people that want you to give them exact examples of this behavior and what they could have done differently. And so every single person takes feedback so differently. People get angry, people cry, people, it's just I'm not specifically my team, but when I worked at Disney, I was a leader too and had to have one-on-ones. And so everyone again handles it differently. But if it's coming from a kind, soft place of, I'm doing this because I care, I'm not doing this because I'm judging you and think you're terrible, So, and if I did think you're terrible, like there was a different conversation that had, but that's coaching. That's not feedback. There's a difference. So
interesting. You mentioned, this is me jumping back on a tangent you mentioned a little bit ago. When you were talking about giving feedback to vendors and specifically as part of that feedback, educating them on like the amount of risk that you're taking as a planner, referring them or even giving the thumbs up to work with them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was such a massive growing point for me to learn in my journey as a vendor is, from your perspective, like what a risk and what a big deal and how much trust it takes to refer somebody, especially somebody new. Can you speak to that for a little bit?
Yeah, everyone has to start somewhere, right? And
Yeah.
so oftentimes people will say, "How do I get on your vendor list? I really want to be on your vendor list." And we're open to working with new people. I mean, how amazing would it have been to be, Mindy Weiss's first bride and get her for minimal amount of money, and now she's, six figures. The first bride might have had her for $3,000, and now she's the world's most famous wedding planner, one of them. And so, that opportunity, you never know what new creative talent is out there, but we'll call you. If my team is going to drop a heavy amount, we had a tenting vendor that someone had recommended to us, and the wedding was out in Beaumont, and this tent vendor was coming from Louisiana. And so I said, I want to call with you. And we got on the phone, and he's on a build. He's like out in the middle of nowhere in the woods, and he's got his camera on FaceTime, and he's talking to me. And I'm like, so tell me about your labor. Who's on staff? What does that look like? Are you supporting them? Where do your products come from? Like, what are the quality of your products? How do you communicate with clients? How do you build them? What is the deliverable, the expectation, the quality? How often do you clean them? I felt so bad for this guy because he's sitting at me like, he answered it and he rolled with it. And hopefully the other person that recommended him probably warned him. If I want to call with you, it's like, oh gosh, what does she want? But I want to make sure that you believe in your product and you stand behind it, and you're going to be there and you're going to give 110%, especially with a tent, because that's not small. Not that any of our jobs are small, because if I hire you as a videographer and a year later I still don't have a video, or 6 months later I have a video and it's like, looks like the Blair Witch Project, like we have a problem. We have a problem, because that's not what my clients think they're paying for. And so maintaining that brand of making sure that we are finding vendors for our clients is our job. And I will call another planner that's worked with you to say, what was your experience like? I will look at your social media. If you're making fun of your clients, if you are like posting a bunch of memes, if you're crossing the line between professionalism and personal, and all of these things represent our clients, not just represent Belle, but represent our clients. Our clients are CEOs of companies. And if they're hiring someone that's very vocal about a subject that their company stands against, we have a conflict of interest, And so these are things that I see out in the wedding industry, people talking about and venting about on pages. And it's a little tone deaf for me. It's a little bit of like, I don't know what market you're in and what your clients are spending. But for me, the gravity of it is huge. And we have to do our due diligence to make sure that the investment is going to be worth it for our client, and that you're going to deliver. And that's why we created vendor guidelines. If we've never worked with someone, we'll send them the guidelines to make sure that they know at a black tie wedding, they can't just wear a polo and khakis. Country clubs require coats, and some people don't know that. They didn't grow up in a country club. They have no idea that's in the bylaws of the club, that if you're in the ballroom, you have to be in a coat. People don't know that. And so it's our job as the planner to just make sure we put those guidelines out there to a new vendor and call them and say, hey, this isn't meant to be elitist. This isn't meant to be a dig. We don't know anything about you. We just want to make sure we're going into this on the same page. But I have had clients that have booked Belle, and I have done my due diligence, and they've already signed a contract with a vendor, and I have paid out of that contract because I saw red flags and I saw the writing on the wall, and I knew that expectation was not going to be met. And my job is to protect my client. And when I called the vendor to have conversations with them, it wasn't well received. It was very flippant. It was just very non-professional. And so, this vendor was a challenge. And so I just said, when I call a client and tell them I'm willing to pay out of their contract, they're going to listen to me. They're going to be like, oh my God, you think it's that bad? Okay, let's get out of it.
Yeah.
That's only happened once, but I'm willing to do that because I know that it represents my team and my brand. And
Wow.
honestly, it's more work on me for the back end to try and put together the pieces and to find some sign of concession for the client. I got to protect my client. That's why my job exists. And protect my vendors too. You know that. I will fight for my vendors too. So it goes
You
both
will.
ways.
You will. And I see that in you every time. I think it's so helpful to hear because you forget sometimes, we are so siloed in our different categories in the wedding industry. And we're there on the same day and we're serving the same client. But what you are expressing with the way another vendor reflects so much on Belle is something that I don't deal with as a videographer. I don't make recommendations for other vendors that then are a reflection on me. And so it's so helpful to hear something like that because it's such an easy blind spot to have if we don't hear that regularly, because it's like we're doing the same events, we're serving the same clients, like we're there together, and yet you are dealing with a challenge and an expectation that is huge for what you're doing and what you're planning, and it's not a factor at all for me. And so it's always so helpful to the
I'm
more
jealous.
this is like ingrained. You should be. You should be.
See, but you don't need that. If you had that pressure and that gravity on you, then you wouldn't be able to do your job as well as a creative, I don't think, which again is why my job exists.
Wow. The ringmaster
of this.
What are some of your proudest moments as a business owner?
Proudest moment is hard. It's just been such a journey with growing this company that it's often hard to think through the proud moments. So I'm really good at remembering the places where I failed versus the places where I'm proud, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
I think it would probably be in the numbers. Like, since I'm not a numbers person, like seeing the numbers on paper for the first time of how many weddings, how much money of our clients we manage, it's probably the proudest. But also to have been told this was a hobby job and actually be successful at it. It's
huge. When it comes to the numbers like that, is that something you want to share publicly?
I mean, I've shared it before. I've shared that we, managed over $30 million of clients' money. But I don't know if that's anything that's helpful for people, It was helpful for me, but the reality of it is, like, I don't know about you, but I remember that I just had this in my head that I needed to make six figures. I had to make six figures. Like, in order to be accomplished, it had to be six figures. And I got to six figures and nothing happened. Nothing changed, nothing happened. And I remember my therapist was like, "What did you think was going to happen?" I'm like, "I don't know. I thought I would have this sense of like I could take my foot off the pedal." And then it was like, "No, I need to hit 110. I need to hit 120. I need to hit 150." And it's like, when does that end? What is it worth?
Yeah.
What's the trade-off, And so that for me was an epiphany of like, it's not about the numbers. It should have never been about the numbers, It's about the balance and the happiness of happy clients and a happy husband and a happy family and being able to go on a vacation and being able to have a team that can survive without me and I can go on a vacation and empowering them to be able to make decisions, So it's so funny in the beginning. You're so defined by your client's budget being $1 million, so you can be in the luxury category or the ultra luxury category of and
then you'll have made it.
Industry, or like what you made, and it's none of that is fulfilling.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that doesn't fulfill me. Having a team that is proud of their work and can pay their bills and is able to go to their kids' Christmas pageant because they have a flexible work job and don't have to punch a clock. And that's what it's about, right?
Yeah, 100%. Rebecca, have you ever seen I get these all confused. I think it was the Oscars, that Jim Carrey's like acceptance speech when he won the Oscars, because it rings true for what you're saying. Like, give me half a second. I kind of want to look. Let me see if I could.
I don't know anything about this. I don't relate to Jim Carrey a lot.
It rings true of what you were talking about with like it was my goal to make six figures and then I'll have made it. Like, it was my goal to do a 7-figure wedding because then I'll have made it. Oh, now I'm luxury. Now I'm ultra luxury. Like,
yeah.
Now I've made it. And this, Rings true for me. Here it comes.
From the upcoming film True Crimes, please welcome two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey.
Thank you. I am two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey. You know, when I go to sleep at night, I'm not just a guy going to sleep. I'm two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey, going to get some well-needed shut-eye. And when I dream, I don't just dream any old dream. No, sir. I dream about being three-time Golden Globe winning actor Jim Carrey. Because then I would be enough.
Then it gets real.
It would finally be true. And I could stop this terrible search for what I know ultimately won't fulfill me. But these are important, these awards.
Something about that just rang true of like,
Oh, it's so true. It's so true.
I did an ultra luxury wedding, and now I'm not just a normal person, I'm an ultra luxury wedding videographer.
But like, that changed. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. And I wish you can't tell people that. They have to figure it out for themselves. It's not worth it if you don't have that balance and family and support. And at what cost? At what cost is it worth it?
Yeah, we're maybe already talking about it, but one of the questions we talked about was asking like, what is the hardest part of your job, or what keeps you up at night? We're already talking through hard.
That's an easy one for me. And it goes back to my team. I want to make sure that they're getting the life that they wanted and that they're happy and that they don't go to bed stressed about finances and that they don't go to bed feeling mentally exhausted and beat up. I worry about them. I worry the toll that it takes on you. I personally have seen the toll it took on me and my health. And so in my health journey, and it's important to me that they are fulfilled, are healthy, are happy. And if there's any of that I need to help them with, for our staff meeting recently, I brought in a company called Minnow Wellness, and Minnow Wellness is exclusively for women's health and the aging process and the birthing process and just women's health in general, in education of stress and being healthy and making a plan for the future. And for me, that was important to make sure that they knew this is a priority. Your health is a priority. Your stress levels are a priority. You should get your cortisol tested, and we should make a plan because it's your life and you need to be able to be a mother. And my job is to worry about the business. My job is to find the business. My job is to nurture the relationships and to network and to support them. And if there is a vendor or a client that is hurting their mental health, that's also my problem. And I am at a comfortable level and a mature enough level. And I laugh. I'm starting to laugh because I don't just do this for my company. Other wedding planners will call me and say, Rebecca, I'm struggling with this, and I will help give them some perspective and advice because most likely with 13 planners, I've been through it. I've been through it either myself personally or with one of them. And I think if you're feeling friction, most likely so is the other person.
Yeah.
And so there's no better way to deal with it than talking about the elephant in the room and letting everyone come clean and be honest. And sometimes that ends in a conscious uncoupling, and sometimes that ends in clear communication and next steps moving forward. And so that's what keeps me up at night, is making sure that they feel supported, and not just from a planner perspective, but from a personal, financial, emotional perspective.
Amazing. Rebecca, no one who knows you and is listening to this podcast will be surprised to hear you say caring about your team and other people is what keeps you up at night.
Thank you. You're going to make me cry. Oh my gosh.
That's the goal. If you
Seriously.
would, that'd be...
I think that's what I've always said. When I leave this planet, I want people to say she was kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my hope. Anyway, gosh, Kevin, it's Monday. I can't start the week like this. Jesus. Sorry.
What better way to
Sorry,
start the
Jesus.
week? Sorry, Jesus. There. Let's flip it from bad to good then.
Okay.
We've talked about hard. Let's talk about the good. What are you most
Okay.
proud of as a business owner?
I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of what we've come through and how we've grown and how we continue to grow. I'm proud of the fact that it's such a supportive environment. I'm proud that 2 of the ladies had to move cities and said, we want to continue being on your team. I'm proud that some of them are the breadwinners in their family and that I get to be a part of that. I'm just very proud to be on a team of all females that are in an environment where we are really happy and supportive and kind with one another. And there are not days that you're walking into this office building where you are, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to see these people. I have done that job in my life where you're like, I don't want to go into work, but you don't feel that here. And I don't feel any member of my team feels that. And I keep that communication open so that they have an outlet if they ever are feeling that way to just tell me. So I'm proud. That's my biggest accomplishment, is having a team of women that are really high achieving and kind.
Beautiful. The 13 years since you left Disney, I'd love to hear in that amount of time, what area of leadership do you feel like you've grown the most in your 13 years since leaving Disney?
Honestly, compassion. I think I had this mindset that leadership was strongly managerial and that an iron fist and lots of structure and playing by the rules. Don't forget, with all of Disney's amazing attributes and education, they were very black and white. It was very black and white. Contracts were binding. There was no flexibility. Your leader's feedback was the end all be all.
Yeah.
And I think in coming in to the Houston market and really just getting to know people and understanding that, yes, we have a serious job and yes, there's a lot of money at stake, but that being able to do it with people that you really care about and you have compassion for, and that giving that feedback is well-meaning and caring. I think when I was at Disney and I came out, I just expected my leadership style to continue to be a leader and an example, like I'm supposed to be the golden child example. But I have found that vulnerability is much more important. My team knows. Wow. My team knows that I'm the first to be like, I don't know how to do that. I'm not good at it. When we do that exercise where we describe Belle and we describe our client, I can't be the person writing it because I can't spell that well. I'm dyslexic. And so for me, it's a joke. I mean, I was 22 years old when I found out avocado didn't have an L in it and it's avocado. Who knew? So the vulnerability too, for me, is just really, really important because everyone is going to have a rite of passage. Everyone is going to have to learn baptism by fire. I mean, I lost a client's heirloom and it still haunts me. I still have nightmares about it. And thank God my client is forgiving and kind. And the joke was that the mom also lost her heirloom from her grandmother. And so it was kind of a joke in their family, but it still haunts me. I still think about it and I want to have it remade. And it's been 10 years since that wedding, So that compassion and forgiveness and vulnerability that didn't necessarily exist at Disney because it was a little bit more black and white is where I think I've grown, and Houston has evolved me and Belle has evolved me in that way.
Rebecca, when we were in Houston, one of the things I remember asking you after you spoke was what is it right now about your job that you do? And it's yes, this is why I do what I do. This lights me up. I'm killing it. I'm where I need to be. This is why I do what I do. And you told me the story of a recent tent emergency with just some of the crazy Houston weather and everything else happening in between. And it
Yeah.
was unbelievable. I wanted to hear that. Could you tell me again about that day for the audience?
Yeah, going back to the strengths of wedding planners, and everyone's on a spectrum, right? Whether they enjoy more of the planning or more of the execution or more of the design or more of the structure. And I thrive in chaos. My brain turns on. I would like to think I'm that person when something happens, and I don't want to say negative, but when something happens, I am going to tell everyone what the plan is. We're going to have marching orders. We're going to get in place. We're going to come up with something right on the spot, and we're going to knock it out. Like, there's a solution for everything, and I'm really quick on my feet. And so, backing up a little bit, Victoria is planning a very large wedding, large in investment, large in guest count. And we are in Houston, Texas. And when a bride calls me on the very first call and says she wants a tented wedding, I am going to be very honest with her. And if it cost me the sell, then it cost me the sell. But I want them to know you need to love your rain plan as much as you love your plan A. Like, you've got to love plan B. You've also got to know that when we're in Houston and we're in the springtime or the summertime, it's thundering and lightning outside right now.
Yeah.
We can't predict the weather. If you're having a winter wedding, I know I can look off the coast of Washington and I can see a front coming our way. We can, like clockwork, see it coming in the coast of California and sweeping down. And we know we're going to get a line of thunderstorms. So weddings in the winter, it's a little bit easier to prepare versus the bubble up storms that are some sort of pressure dew point off the Gulf, something. I'm enough
science
to be named. Science. And so Victoria had been planning this wedding for a year, and we knew it was going to be tinted, and the bride knew all of the risks involved with a tinted wedding. And we love to give our clients options. I talk about this on every initial call with my clients. All along wedding planning, you're going to have a Target, a Nordstrom, and a Neiman's option with every single vendor. You can choose Target, Nordstrom's, or Neiman's. And all of those stores are great. I shop at Target all the time. I would love to shop at Neiman's all the time. And so, there's no wrong choice there. You have to find the things that you're passionate about in the wedding process that you want to invest more in. I just spoke to a bride last week that loves photography. She's going to spend a lot on a photographer. She doesn't care about flowers. The next bride doesn't care about photography, loves flowers. So it's like everybody has something different. But when you're doing a tented wedding, we really need to invest, on the tent because it's crucial. There were a lot of things working against us at this wedding with the tent. I think Victoria is, if you've ever met Victoria on my team, and I know you have, but for your listeners, Victoria is an Enneagram 1. If you don't know what that is, she is a perfectionist. She is your student that was so smart. She's also got great style. She's kind. Like, Victoria's amazing, but Victoria's a perfectionist, and she's going to make sure that she double checks, crosses T's, dots I's, thinks through every potential outcome. She is an amazing planner, and she had done all of those things for this wedding, but Houston got a lot of rain. Our tent selection was a clear top, and it was a material that had a little bit of a stretch and a give in it. There are different types and levels of tents that, since I've learned, people have DM'd me about this wedding and event. So I think I have a little bit more of a knowledge on tents now.
Yeah.
We had a sun cover on it that had a little bit of weight to it. So at the crossbars, when it rained, it made divots that held water. 13 of them, and a lot of rain. And the only solution was to remove the panels and put new ones on. We had already loaded in all of the tables, all of the soft lounge seating, all of the linens were already in the tent. You have never seen a vendor team come together. Victoria, my phone rang. She was staying with me because she lives in Dallas. She was staying at my house. She left my house at like 6:30 in the morning. I get up. I'm having a cup of coffee. I had already planned to go to her wedding that day because I knew with the rain there were going to be challenges. My phone rings at 7:30 and I knew. I saw it and I was like, whew, okay, here we go. So
game
I
on.
answer the phone and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, it's bad. It's really bad, Rebecca. I'm going to send you a video. And again, Victoria has done this long enough. She's been with me 10 years. Her experience level, she knew what needed to get done, but she also did not know how it was going to get done in that amount of time because you needed to cut all of these bubbles. They needed to drain. The water had to go somewhere. Our tent wasn't set up in a way which it would drain efficiently. So she had to call the client and say, hey, I found you a backup venue. We can move your whole wedding into another venue and keep the same feel, vibe. I can call all the vendors. We had already talked to the vendors. We knew that we could move the things.
Yeah.
And still provide her wedding. We didn't ask the bride. We asked her father because he was the decision maker. And he said, no, she's always dreamed about this tented wedding. It has to be in a tent. Make it happen. Whatever it takes, make it happen. Okay, great. We will do that then. And so squeegees were purchased. Mops were purchased.
Phone calls were made.
I mean, I immediately packed up everything in my garage. I had tarps, I had mops, I had drills, I had duct tape. I mean, I did not know what we were going to need to do to makeshift this and make it happen. And in the meantime, I had sent the video of what had happened to a couple of vendors. I had photographers and friends that were not scheduled for this wedding that said, I'll come help you. I'll come. Like, just tell me where you need me. And I'm like, no, let me get there and assess it first. Thank you for offering. And I get there and it's bad and it's worse than I thought it was. And we are counting down the hours. I am telling you, we had guests arriving at 6:30 and at 4:30, we still did not look like we were going to have a wedding there. We were still drilling holes in the floor to drain the water out. We had a fair extraordinaire had every server had a mop or a squeegee in their hand or was trying to like put the linen over the backs of the chairs to air dry it. Our band management company, Gulf Coast Entertainment, he was one of the friends I had told about the challenge. He just shows up. He shows up in gym shorts and a t-shirt and is like, tell me how to help. My husband comes, he's helping. None of my team has eaten. We called in everyone early. I have 7 Belle planners there that are all trying to contribute. And Victoria needed to be there for the bride. So I grabbed Victoria at 1:00 and we're like, you have to leave. And she was like, I can't leave. I have to I said, this is my job now. You were too close to this. Going back to being so close to it that it's affecting you mentally and you're breaking down because you've worked a year on this, and to see what you planned not coming to fruition with a perfectionist like Victoria, it was going to break her. And I needed her to have her head on straight. And I told her, you got to go. You got to leave. You got to let me handle this. You got to trust the team. You got to go. But the brain was so bad. Just to give you context, our bride had left her hair and makeup because she was done to go see her family. Her brother had a baby the night before. So she went to the hospital to see her new niece or nephew. She got flooded in the West University or in the university area and was stranded. She couldn't go backwards or forward. The streets were flooded. So it was severe in Houston. It was one of those weekends where it was like flash flooding. But when she showed up to that wedding, she had no idea. Her father didn't tell her about what the videos, didn't show her. She had no idea what transpired at that tent. Clueless. And so I see her and her fiance. All of her guests have moved into the tent for the dinner, left cocktail hour, gone to the tent. And I'm like, have you seen inside of the tent? She's like, no. And Victoria's not next to us. She was going to put something away. And so I'm showing her pictures of the tent finished, beautiful photos of all the candles lit, gorgeous. And I scroll one too far of some of the drama and the flooding. And she goes, what's that? And I was like, this is what your tent looked like 2 hours ago. And she was like, what? And Victoria walked up at that minute. And Victoria's like, why are you showing her?
Why would you do this?
And I'm like, I didn't mean to show her that. But she was so impressed with us. And she was like, Rebecca, Victoria, you guys have to get that on the internet. It has to go viral. She's like, this is incredible. The fact that this came out the way that it did, she was just so floored. But none of that would have happened without having a village. the relationships, the people, the servers willing to take a mop and squeegee when that's not their job, the band management company coming in to move tarps, my husband showing up and going and get Chick-fil-A for the Bells who are all starving and about to hit a hangry breaking point. None of this happens without the headline of this is not about the tent flooding. It's not about the tent. It's not about the drama or what could have been done. The headline is the team and the vendors coming together to support one another and doing whatever it takes for our clients. And so in the 23 years I've done this, I've never had something that extreme, but my team calls me, especially more of the girls that have been with me the longest. When they call, I answer because I know they need me. I know that they need that strength in me that is to come in and take over and get the job done. And I have a few of those instances on my team where I will get to their weddings to check on them and they will pull me to a closet to cry and be like, can you just go out there for a little bit and give me 10 minutes? And I'm so happy I can be that for them.
Yeah.
But I love the chaos. I love being thrown in the deep end and having to manage a challenge that I was not prepared for. The faster I have to think on my feet, the bigger the challenge, the more excited I get, the higher my adrenaline. It's just, I love it. But there are women on my team that is like the worst thing that could happen to them. But that's why we have a big team. And that's the beauty of it is they can call me anytime. They all have Joe's phone number, my husband. So if they can't reach me, they can reach him and he can find me because that's my job to be available to them because I love that chaos. I love it.
You are coming alive as you're talking about this. You are smiling ear to ear.
Love it.
You're psychotic in the best way. I hope you hear the compliment behind that. That is unbelievable.
I do. Everyone has their strength, right? I prefer to fight the fire. I will run in the building. I'm not running out of it. Like I'm ready.
There are days when it's, like you said, it's the circus and you're the ringmaster. And then there are days like that where it's like the Avengers and you're the one assembling the team. And they're all carrying mops and squeegees and everything.
Oh, it was to see all the vendors come together. That's why you do this. That's why you do this. And it was such an accomplishment for all of us. It was such just an out-of-body experience to be like, we did this. Like 2 hours ago, there was an inch of water on the floor. And the candles weren't even on the tables and the linens were wet. And it's like, we did this. It's such a sense of accomplishment.
Unbelievable. And for the bride to not even know it was happening. I mean, that feels like the
guests
craziest.
Never knew. Nothing.
Until they saw it on social afterwards.
Right.
I have a couple videos. Let me try to turn the audio off on this.
Yeah. So
you talk about it bowing with the water. And if you described it and I hadn't seen the visuals, I never would have known how. I would never have pictured it being this extreme. I mean, that's gallons of water inside each one of those. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and if you have only a couple, there are other ways to alleviate it besides cutting them. But at this point in the time constraints we had, the only option was to cut them and replace them.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Getting the cake inside the venue without getting soaked. That's me in my
This is you in your element.
Oh my God.
Not
you can
frazzled.
see the smile on my face. I'm like, we did this, guys. We did this.
This is the way people smile after a day at Disneyland, not a day dealing with this level of chaos, Rebecca. You are alive here.
I am.
Incredible.
Yeah, you can see in some of those the water on the floor. In one of the videos, we actually have some of the team drilling into the floorboards to drain it because there were pockets that wouldn't drain. But you can see the drapes tied up, and I wish you could see the timestamps on these because this is literally probably around 3:00 with the wedding starting at 6:30.
Unbelievable.
Right? It is unbelievable. And I get to be a part of that. And it's such a rush for me. Such a rush.
Magic.
Yeah.
Okay. Rebecca, before we go, we're winding down here. I wanted to mention WIPA because
Yeah.
I'm excited for both of us
Me
to
too.
be sharing at WIPA.
I
Like,
know.
who else would I
I
rather do this with?
know. What is
I
your
wanna-
topic? What are you presenting on? I want to know.
I am speaking, it's a working title. Essentially, it's Video 101. Video for non-videographers, how to maximize video for your business.
Oh.
Essentially, a thesis of it is that our industry is so good at working with photos. From the photographers taking them, creating an album, sending it out. No one's like, what do I do with these photos? Like, how do I
Yep.
use the, like, there's no, we're all really good at it. And then it comes to video and it's all just more complicated. Like photo and video seem so similar, but the way you actually need to like organize and plan and use them, it's very different from each other. And so I'm kind of trying to teach to bridge that gap of like, let's get as good at video as we are with photo. And this can kind of be the first step towards that. That's
I love
the thesis.
Can't wait. I'm going to be there. So I can't wait.
Good. Tell me about your panel that you're on.
I am on a panel with some other female business owner entrepreneurs speaking about when you know to scale, how to scale your business, when you should scale, if you should scale. So I'm excited about that because when I bought the company, there were 3 of us and now there's 13 of us and 20 wedding day assistants. And I have an assistant and an intern and it's more than I ever dreamed of. And so I think I can speak a little bit to scaling.
There's a lot to be excited about. WIPACon. Are we officially calling it WIPACon?
WIPACon.
There's a lot to be excited about WIPA Nationals Conference coming up.
Yeah.
But that panel is one of the things that I'm like, I cannot miss that. It is 100. It might be the thing I'm most excited to hear about and learn about and hear about the teams that are up there on that panel discussing it.
Yeah.
And I mean that.
Well, we were talking about Shark Tank offline.
Yeah.
And one of the sharks is going to be there. And so I'm pretty excited. I've been watching Shark Tank with my husband since like season 1. So I'm really excited to hear Damon speak as well.
Me too.
So that it's going to be great. Now you and I have to figure out what the heck we're wearing, but it's going to be incredible. I have
nothing. I have no clothes for this. We'll go shopping. It'll be
First
great.
of all, I'm not boho. Second of all, I'm not chic. And third of all, I don't own Western clothing. So I think I'm in trouble.
Okay, you're looking at the only piece of denim that I own right here. So I'll probably be in this. I maybe need to buy boots. I maybe need to buy jeans. I'll text you. I don't know any of this.
Bought me Tacovas for Christmas. So I have a pair of cowboy boots.
Can
you believe that? I am old and I've lived in Texas my majority of my life, born and raised. And my grandmother rode a horse to school. My grandfather rode a horse to school, and homegirl never even owned a pair of cowboy boots. So,
is it your first pair? It's not even like you had a pair 10 years ago and got rid of them. It's your first pair.
I'm just not. I grew up in a country. I worked on a grass farm when I was in high school, but I didn't wear boots then, and I didn't live on a farm. My dad was a football coach, so.
Well, y'all heard it here first. If you want to see boho Rebecca westerned up for the conference, the only time you'll see it.
A floral dress that I wear every day with Tacovas is what you're going to see. So let's not oversell it, Kevin. But maybe we'll get you in some fringe and a cowboy hat. How about that?
That'd be a sight to see. Well, if you're listening to this and already going to WIPA, we can't wait to see you there. Come, say hi.
We will see you there. Please come say hi.
I heard it. If you're listening to this and you cannot go to WIPA, I'm sorry for the FOMO. It's real. You're missing out. But maybe next time.
We'll see you next time.
Next time. Rebecca, that's it. That is the podcast. You made it. You survived.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited that you thought of me, and I'm loving your podcast and what you're doing for the community. And I know that it's lonely and you have no idea. I don't know if anyone's giving you feedback. So let me just tell you, it's incredible. And I love what you're doing for the Texas vendor community. So great job. And thank you for having me.
Thank you, Rebecca. That is so incredibly kind. I absolutely love our friendship and the time we get together. And Thank you so much for taking this time to do this. I know how much you have going on, so.
See you
I
at
will see you. I'll
WIPACon.
see you in a couple weeks. Bye, Rebecca.
I said, if you don't like this music, you don't be listening to it. You know, I'm just a dude that you know, or something similar. If you don't keep it real, then you go somewhere but here, cause you know we're only losing control just for a minute.
Rebecca, thank you for coming on the podcast. Love getting time with you. I know how much you're juggling, how much you're managing. So thank you for coming on the podcast. Can't wait to see you at WIPACon, and anyone else listening. At the time of this recording, I don't even know if there are tickets available still. If there are, grab one. If not, Rebecca, thank you for coming on. Thrilled that in just a couple weeks, I'll be seeing you at WIPACon in person again. And anyone else joining, if you see me, if you see Rebecca, come on up, say hi. We would love to meet y'all. As we continue our series on people making WIPACon happen, I'm excited for y'all to hear from our guests next week. So tune in again to the Texas Wedding Podcast.